Hello, everyone. This is Success Mindset Coach Sandra, and I'm here with Nicola with Faster Changes. And I'm really excited because we are going to be doing a series of videos on different topics for you tactics practitioners and practitioners in training. So I'm really excited to be here with our first video. So welcome, Nicola.
Thank you, Sandra. I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to be talking today about perfectionism and perfectionism within coaching. If you have a small business or you're wanting to become a U-Tactics practitioner and then have your own small business in that field. And Nicola brought up a good subject on this. And why don't you go ahead and take a little bit of time, Nicola, to talk about some of your observations with different practitioners, either in training or entrepreneurs that have this or struggling with perfectionism.
Okay. Yep. So as I work with more and more practitioners in training, first it started out with swaps way back when I was just starting out. And now that I do upper level hours, it comes up again and again. And it's perfectionism, but it's also this feeling of being like a fraud. And I just see it come up all the time. And it's almost like there's an underlying belief that once we've been doing the work and we've gone through all our levels and we've gotten to level 4, your life is supposed to be perfect and you no longer have any problems and you don't need to work on yourself. But that's just simply not true. This whole process of learning how your mind works doesn't mean that you never have a problem, you don't have a negative emotion, and stuff doesn't happen in life. You literally embrace it and navigate the problems as they come up and take control of your thinking, but you still show up as a person. It's just, life happens.
Yeah. Life does happen. And what is your experience when somebody tells you, they feel like a fraud? What is that exactly, so that maybe our viewers can get a feeler or an impression of how that would manifest?
That's a good one. Let's see. Because it comes up in so many different ways. I think, first of all, the reason being is because of the expectation that life's perfect now, because you've got your level 4 and you're not supposed to have any problems. There are problems.
You're right.
And so it's like, well, I really can't put myself out there because I haven't gotten to the point where I'm done yet. And again, it's almost like that finish line mentality. And it isn't a finish line. There isn't this little imaginary ribbon you're going to run through and life is now perfect.
Exactly.
You model the work, you live the work, and you show up honest about what your struggles are. I think that is the secret to not feeling like a fraud. I heard the phrase recently, probably in the past month, about being a leading learner. And have you heard that phrase?
I have not heard that exact phrase. I have, but not that one.
Yeah, it really resonated with me because I think that is why I don't feel like a fraud. I feel like I'm just a few steps ahead of someone. I'm still navigating my own path and my own issues and have my own struggles, but I'm sharing as I go. And that's pretty much what it means to be a leading learner. You're learning something, but you're sharing your learnings as a leader. You're helping other people do it. So you're not at the top of the pinnacle. You're going up the mountain with everybody else. Yes. And they're just a few steps behind.
Yes, I love that. I really love that. And when I was, over a decade ago, learning or going through my coaching credentials and everything, that's like one of the things that they always said is that the expert is really just one step ahead of you, and when we're doing coaching, it was really, because for some of you out there who don't know this, coaching is a very different bird than mentoring. It's a very different bird than consulting. And but that's for another subject maybe to go into. So I know everybody calls themselves coaches, but it really is a specialized, very honed in skill and art, really. kind of like you tactics. But anyway, so, and that they would kind of, they phrased it a little bit differently, but I love that concept because it does, and it also keeps us humble, doesn't it? It allows us to continue learning and not thinking that being perfect means that we have all the answers or whatever, which in our line of work, really, we don't need to know the answers. We need to draw that out from the client, either through the coaching process or definitely speaking to the subconscious.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit. I love the idea of talking about actually when perfectionism really can get in the way of really showing up in our business and with our clients. Any thoughts on that, Nicola?
A few. I read a lot. So there's a really great book that I read on how to be an imperfectionist. And yeah, it's a great title. And it's by Stephen Geis. And he talks about the difference between doing things analog and doing things digital. All right. And the perfectionist is very analog, and that's a form of judgment over how they do things. It's this constant, oh, it's not good enough, I didn't do this, I didn't get it that way, or I can't start until it's all absolutely perfect, right? But doing something digital is, and that's like a light switch, it's either on or it's off. I either made a post or I didn't, I either did a swap or I didn't. So it's just a very yes or no mentality. There's absolutely no judgment in there. And when you turn your mind to just doing the thing, is it done yes or no, versus, oh, did I do it perfect? Or it frees you up.
Absolutely.
And it's a much easier mindset to try on. Just take your mind away from all the judging and just go for yes or no. Is it done? Done is
And
better
it's
than
really,
perfect.
yeah, and I love that. Like, one of the things that I've been doing in my practice as well is, because I do, and I have suffered from perfectionism, and I still sometimes feel like I have to have all my ducks in a row. And I think there's a time and place where we do need to, well, I'm always into raising the bar, right, for myself and for other
Oh yeah.
people, if possible, if I'm invited to, because sometimes we can't hold somebody to a certain standard if they're not willing to match that
Mm-hmm.
standard. But yeah, I think it's definitely, with the tapping, has helped me tremendously. Actually, I found myself judging, because sometimes we like to think as people that we're not judging, but we do. We judge, and it doesn't always sound like, I'm not going to talk to that person because she's got blonde hair or she's smart or something, I don't like her. Not that kind of superficial judgment, but more of an internal dialogue like you were talking about. And are you, like, for me, the tapping has helped a lot, like I was saying, and really challenging myself uh, with a lot of things that I normally wouldn't do. Like, sometimes I'm not always spontaneous. In a way, this interview is a little bit spontaneous, isn't it? Because we
Yeah.
didn't sit there and like the old Sandra would have a week ago, just talked with you maybe and gone over through certain things. And it's like, no, let's just try it out. Let's just see what this is like, to connect and to bring, your wisdom and my information maybe out there. And so what about you? Have you, if you'd like to share anything, struggled a little bit with this in the past or even in the present with perfectionism?
For me, I think, I don't know if I would use the word perfectionism, though I think it is. For me, it was always the fear of getting in trouble, which meant I had to get everything just right so I wouldn't get in trouble, right? And so I never used the term perfectionism, although it still is, right? So I have, and it still shows up. Like, I can hear the voice in the back of the head, but I will use tapping to get myself into action, and it always helps. And I will also just say, okay, just, I'm done, and I'll click send, and I'll click post, or any of it, even if I know it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but I'm going to do it.
Right, right, right. Yeah,
So
I think that's really a great practice. And I think, like you said earlier, before we jumped on this call, actually, you were talking also about, what did you say? just always working on yourself. And then that's one
Yeah.
of my things too, is that I'm, it's kind of scary to go in there and look at your stuff, at times, or somebody points it out, but it's always an opportunity. And
Hmm.
so I as well really focus a lot on just trying to I try to do something every day if possible.
Oh
And
yeah.
just keep up, it's the maintenance. And like you said, I've been in different organizations before, and I've seen where people have either become the top of whatever that school or institution or organization, whatever credentials they have. And yet, when you have observed them, they're still behaving, as Robert would say, the lower model of the world, right, with themselves and with other people. And so there's this constant reviewing and adjusting and revisiting. Any thoughts on that as well?
What I've noticed is comparing yourself to others is not helpful, right? This is part of the perfectionism. Is it's so great to improve yourself, but that journey and the self improvements have nothing to do with where someone else is on their journey. And improving is wonderful, but pointing out where you went wrong and beating yourself up is not improving yourself. And there's this little gap a lot of times that I'll see with people that they feel like they have to beat themselves up to make progress. Like that's how they motivate themselves. And that's not useful, because it's actually not motivating you. It's that carrot versus the stick, I think. But I don't even know if that answers your question, but that's what came
Yeah,
up.
it does. It's really interesting how the beating up can motivate some people as well. Maybe if they didn't have a certain role model or mentor or something growing up, sometimes we try to. I know that when my parents were getting a divorce when I was an adolescent, even though they were very good parents for the first years of my life, very present, very healthy, emotionally healthier than maybe a lot of people. I did notice that as a teenager, I had to sort of regulate myself. I didn't have somebody to really coach me or help me or mentor me. Parents
Sure.
weren't there anymore. And so I can almost see, as you were saying that, I can see that sometimes I would do that throughout my life, is sort of be the punisher, if you will, of my own person, or just try to, and that's a program, right? I mean, we can
Yeah.
definitely make that into an unhealthy habit, and so forth. So what are some tips that you would recommend for people that perhaps, as we label perfectionism or whatever in business, or in any endeavor that we do, what kind of suggestions could you make to another practitioner in training, or even a practitioner level 4?
My favorite one is literally finding where you're thinking of things in an analog way and how you can create just a digital, like when it comes to choosing activities. Like say you're a practitioner and you want to get more clients and you want to interact with more people, you come up with your plan and don't judge the quality of it so much as, did you take action? What are the actions that you lay out, and did you take them, yes or no? Because this is where just doing a little bit of self-improvement comes in. So once you've taken imperfect action, what would make it just a 5% better? Instead of lamenting that, oh, it's not perfect, I got to wait until it's perfect, and not taking any action. Like you could take action every day for a month and progressively be improving it, versus waiting until the end of the month when you think that one thing is perfect.
Right.
What are you going to learn more about and from?
That's an excellent point. Very, very good point. Yeah. And I think that that's something that, and like we were talking about, or you were saying even earlier, I mean, we all tap, right? So it's
Yep.
about really taking a look at that, and either not procrastinating or then being messy about the work that you're doing. Cause it could go the other way too, right? Some people are
Yeah.
like, it's good enough the way it is. And you're like, oh, there's a lot of misspelling words, or there's
And
things.
that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be okay with it being imperfect to even improve it.
Right. Right.
Right.
Good point.
And with tapping, a couple of things that I've done is I'll do like a 30-day tapping project. I will do, a big one was not good enough. tap it down every day for 30 days, then tap it up every day for 30 days. Actually, it was combined. I'd tap it down, then I'd tap it up. But then towards, a couple weeks into it, there wasn't really much to tap down anymore, and it was just tapping up. And it's those things where I will just do it. I'll just spend 5, 10, 15 minutes tapping on something, chart my progress, and compare, what did I move? What did I change? And it doesn't have to be a lot, but it does teach you about yourself. It teaches you about your mind, and it creates a habit. Consistency is so important.
Yeah, and that's really great. I've used that as well, the tap it down. I've done it for not quite a month, but I've done it for like a couple weeks, and then I'll forget about it. And then when I come back to it, so you're right. And that not good enough also falls into the category or subcategory of perfectionism and what that means. And um, I think most all of us struggle somehow, some way in some aspect of their life with the not being good enough, or so that's definitely important. Well, this has been really great. I mean, I love that we're talking about this, because I think a lot of people have this notion, and I know I've heard it before. And like I said, it's not a new thing, where people think that because you've reached the mountaintop, or you're a PhD, or you're credentialed in something, that all of a sudden your problems and issues and emotional pain will go away. And it's almost like, no, it's at that point where, I mean, you always want to walk your talk, but it's especially important to walk your talk at that level. So any thoughts on that? Any last words on walking the talk?
Well, I think we've pretty much covered it. It's just walking the talk is working on yourself every day, and understanding that there is no finish line. You're not going to run through a ribbon and just where everything's perfect. Life will always happen, and you use your skills that you have for yourself to navigate life. It's not only about showing clients how to do it. It's just use them.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, that's great. And you definitely are known as somebody to walk the talk in this community. And it's such a privilege to be able to interview you and to be able to do future little videos. And for all of you that are watching, if there is a topic that you would like Nicole and I to address for a future video, please do comment below, and looking forward to it. I will also be posting this on YouTube and Nicola's information as well, so that you can all check her out. And in the meantime, as Robert would say, love yourself, be kind to yourself, and we will be talking to you all soon. Have a good day. Take care.